Good morning, everyone. This is an unusually early morning for a show, Fox, but what the hell, we're going to wing it and see how it goes. It's about 9 o'clock in the morning, Saskatchewan, Canada time. A very soggy, wet May-long weekend for good old Canada. But anyway, welcome to All Night Long with the Fox, which is broadcast a syndication on Internet Radio Dantata weekly every Friday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And thanks to Kitty Cavey, who is my producer and occasional co-host. She has built up a streaming studio and website that we host our own shows on now, Night Moves with the foxstudio.com. I'm very, very proud of the site and the studio. And that's where today's show will hopefully be posted on for everybody all over the world to be able to listen to the news of this very, very talented woman who is our guest today. Now, I have spoke with this woman just briefly before the show started, and as I told her, a lot of times I cannot quite get down the proper title to do a legitimate introduction to a guest, so I just usually spit out a name, spit out a small title, and I let them fill in the gaps properly so that you, the listeners around the world, as well as the guests, can go, oh, so that's what this person does. And they're not sitting there guessing, what the hell is the Fox trying to do now? And yes, I'm an old man. I can't help it. Anyway, the guest today is by way of LinkedIn. I've had a lot of guests work out successfully through LinkedIn. And once again, Ava Durga, a sex educator, is on the line with me. Welcome to All Night Long with the Fox and Night Move Studio, Ava.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Do you want to, as I just said and we talked about, do you want to fill in the proper introduction title to Ava Durga so that everybody kind of has an idea what the hell you are?
If I can figure that out myself. I am the director of creativesexuality.org. We are a sex education. We offer live sex education online. It's an e-learning site. And so sex educators from essentially all over the world can offer their classes through our site. They're all qualified. These people have to meet a certain level of qualification. And what it does is allows anybody in the world can have access to live workshops and live coaching with some of the top leading sex educators in the world without leaving their homes.
Now, who would have thought a few years back that something like this could have been done online?
Amazing, huh?
Do you find it easier, obviously, to conduct these programs online, or is it just, and I probably shouldn't be saying this, and you can slap me if you want through the screen, is it less personal this way, obviously, or do your clients or people that want to take part in this, do they find this actually a touch more personal?
It depends on where they're going. For the most, it's going to be more personal. There's a couple of different things there's pros and cons. The way people learn right now, before e-learning in sexuality, is either A, they went to workshops, there might be conferences, or they might go to a local sex toy store or see something along those lines, where they actually have to get up, they get in their cars, they drive there, they pay the money, they watch it, and they come. But that's personal. They learn with other people, they can talk with the instructor, and that's personal. Unfortunately, that's not accessible to most people. The remainder of people either they read, or they spend hours online, or they kind of fumble about along on their own, or they read Playboy, or they see porn, or they get it from a variety of different ways. But for many people, that's very time consuming, and they don't know what to believe. There's no doubt there's tons of information out on the web. What's difficult is sorting through it. And so what we offer is a way for people to be able to personally interact with those instructors and personally interact with other people. You could conceivably have, and we've had it, we've had classes where the instructor is in Austin, Texas, and some of those, we've had learners from the Netherlands and Australia and California and Canada, and it's a wonderful thing because you can be interacting with people If you're someone who's shy and you're sitting in a class with 20 or 30 or 40 people and you have a question, but it's a sexual question, and some people are still a little hesitant either to ask or to speak up in general. In this sort of format, people can be quiet. I mean, they can be private, but they can ask their questions confidentially and have a turn without having to try to fight for
time or whatever.
Time, exactly.
Now, you set this up, you organize these programs, but you don't actually do the educating yourself, is that correct?
That's correct. I don't meet my own qualifications for instructors.
Now, what do you mean by that?
Well, because we want the experience, when people come to us, we want to be able for them to have faculty members who they know what they're doing. I mean, I'll give you an example. Last night I was at Exotica Miami in Fort Lauderdale, or in Miami, and people, we have people come by. Oh, what do you do? And I go, and I tell them, and they'll go, oh, I can teach your cunnilingus class. I get better head than anybody else.
Oh my God!
Great. Who says so besides you? Well, my girlfriend. Great. You might well give the best head in the world, sir. However, I don't know that. The people coming to my site don't know that. Who says so besides you? So the people who are teaching with us either meet a couple of different criteria. Either A, they have the academic qualifications. They're trained sexologists and therapists, academic researchers, and so forth. Or they're more lay people type of educators. Maybe they don't have the letters behind their name, but there are a lot of people out there who teach at national and regional events live.
Right. Yes.
So that way, so I want that kind of confidence when people come to the site, that when they're looking at the faculty members, that these are people who know what they're doing, that they're going to get their money's worth, and that they're going to get good guided instruction and authoritative answers and personal attention from people.
Are your instructors, in all honesty, is it hard to find a good, serious, honest instructor?
We're relatively new. I will say this. There are probably more great sex educators out there. Actually, that's probably the opposite problem. There are some wonderful educators out there, and not enough venues for them to teach.
Wow.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. There's some, but we really don't have a lot of ways to reach out. And sexologists and I wouldn't say there's sexology as a profession. That's sort of a catch-all term, and there's a lot of debate going around on what we actually call them. But they really, other than they don't have a lot of places to teach, and there aren't a lot of places to access them. But yet, it's as you mentioned earlier, there's a growing need, there's growing interest in that, and so it's sort of a personal mission here as well, is to be able to give these educators a way of continuing to teach and to make money, because basically if they're not making money, they're not going to be able to continue teaching, and have this as a resource for people that wasn't there before, both for the instructors as well as for people who are coming to the site.
Now, what piqued your interest? What brought you, when we spoke earlier, before starting the show, you have been involved with public relations, and you've been involved with the media in one way or another in the past, whether it be a long time ago or just a few years past. I guess everybody, every man, every woman, every teenager, every kid is interested, and I guess I should watch how I word this, because I don't want to get people thinking that I'm encouraging kids to get involved with sex. But every adult, every teenager likes sex, is interested in sex, whether they know the right way or whether they just want to jump into it. What gets you so interested in wanting to do what you're doing? Not to be as an instructor, but to promote this and get this going. What is it that draws you to that?
Oh boy, there's a bunch, but I would say that probably the main one is that I have always seen a huge gap between the birds and the bees and porn in terms of what we learn as adults. And let me clarify, this site is for adults only. We
Yes.
do that. be uncensored. We can be very direct. We don't have to dance around anything. But there's a huge gap. The children aren't learning it in school very well. They're learning sperms and eggs, if that. And then they come out and they start reading porn. And everybody's embarrassed to talk about, what about healthy sexuality? What about relationships? What about self-awareness? What if I have interests that are a little bit different? What if I get turned on if somebody's spanking me? Am I a pervert? Is there something wrong with me? What if I like to dress up? What if I have a disability but I have sexual needs? Who do I talk to about that? There are all these sorts of things that I guess when I look at the world, I see this huge gaping need of people who are hungry for information and hungry for acceptance and understanding, but there isn't a lot of places for that to do that. I'll give you another example, which we didn't talk about earlier, but I happen to be very close with a young lady who was raised in the Middle East, and after not having contact with her for maybe 10 or 15 years, we had gotten back in touch, and for reasons I won't go into, I was essentially the only female figure that she could ask about these things, and she was 22. And some of the questions she was asking me amazed me. Now, here was a woman who was raised in the Middle East. She went to very good schools. She was very bright. She has a college degree, and her knowledge about healthy sexuality was almost nil. She had no one to ask. And so that's one representative of this isn't just a thing in North America we think about in our own backyard, Canada, United States, it happens to be in Florida.
Very true.
Worldwide, there is a huge amount of misinformation and people getting hurt. So I also made the platform so that classes could be delivered in whatever language the instructor wanted to teach in. And that's a passion for me as well.
So just out of curiosity, do you have instructors? Do you have interest from the Middle East?
Do I have yes, I have.
Really?
I have contacts there. Yes, I'm getting very personal here, but I'm good. Hey, why not?
Why not?
I made a decision to be who I am. Long story short, my children were raised in the Middle East against my will, and we lost contact for a long time. The person I'm talking to about is my daughter. We had no contact for 10 or 12 years, and thanks to the internet, and I actually happen to love the internet for this reason, I was able to be reunited with her. We had a lot of retroactive, so she's asking me about mommy, about sex, and I hadn't seen her since she was 7.
Wow.
And she's asking me these questions, and that broke my heart. I mean, I love the fact that I was actually able to, have these talks with my daughter. But what horrified me was the amount of disinformation that she had, and how that could be damaging, not to her but other people. I also happen to do some work for an organization in Asia, and was doing some report, and I think it's Papua New Guinea, and people from PNG, please forgive me if I'm wrong, but there are areas of Papua New Guinea where the belief is if you have HIV, that the way to cure yourself of AIDS is to have sex with a virgin.
Oh my God.
Scary, huh? So in addition to the thing, the self-acceptance factor of people, I have a great here's another example. I'm not talking too long. Back in a few years ago, I worked at a professional house of domination as an office manager. I did